Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet two of the leaders of a very unique military transition program. Their incredible journeys just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home. We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network. We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. Well, I never served this country in the military, but the hardworking men and women who have and put their lives on the line for our freedom tell me that there's a big problem when it comes to transitioning out of the military. Often you're spending something like 6 months being steeled for war, but then when it's time to leave, you get a half-day seminar, and that just doesn't work. To talk about that today, Daniel Hance and Kevin Koharki, they're both with The Catalyst. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having us, Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay, well, let's start with you, Daniel. How did this begin for you?
I lived it. I grew up a military brat with heavy emphasis on the brat. And my father was a German and Russian linguist during the height of the Cold War, and then later on became a dually accredited or degreed and licensed electrical and mechanical engineer. Was a military officer, served in a couple of 3-letter agencies. And when that ended, though he had a succession of successful jobs, he became a shell of himself. And I always say it hurts to fail. It hurts 10,000 times worse to see your heroes fail, especially when they're your family. And so that was really truly the genesis of what would become the Catalyst. And then years later, after serving myself, I transitioned out after an injury and not really wanting to transition out, and was lost. And found myself in that same vicious cycle. I wound up taking a great paying job, but it was just that, it was a job. It wasn't a purpose. It wasn't a career path for me. And I had an epiphany one day, realizing that, what if a program existed where high performers from the military, to include spouses, which is a denigrated talent base as we were previously discussing, could come in, learn a company at an expedited rate, because that's how we're acclimated to learning anyways, and then turn around and audition, not just for one, but potentially for several different opportunities within that given organization. Find out what marketing is, find out what operations is, find out what finance is, etc. And then be given a few problems to solve, and then turn around and find our fit within that organization. The company would find the right fit for their needs. Inversely for us, we would find our new calling, our new passion and purpose in life. And so I had this crazy idea in my head, and halfway into business school, I had the opportunity to create it. So I dropped out of business school, and here we are 7 years later.
Kevin, let's bring you into the conversation.
Sure.
You're with CAA Coach, and you're also on the board. Why did you decide to lend your talents to this effort?
So Dan was actually a former student of mine in Purdue's EMBA program, and I was fooling around on LinkedIn one day, and I saw this gentleman, and I was like, man, he looks familiar to me. So we set up a meeting, found out he's not too far down the road from where I am. And when I found out what he was doing, even though I'm just a civilian, I really believed in the mission. So my grandfather, who everybody said I was always just like, who I never really got to know, he died when I was too young, he served in World War II. And I guess for the last 41 years, I've been chasing a ghost. And so when Dan told me what the Catalyst mission is, I thought I need to be a part of this. And as I've been helping his groups and his students over the last several months and years now, as I learn more about them, I realize this is a really important mission, and it's a really important company that he has that is very unique in its industry. And I just wanted to be a part of it.
Yes. We've got some pictures of you, Daniel, way back in the day. So what year would that have been?
Oh, goodness. That would have been 2011, 2012.
Yeah. And in that picture?
That was the day of my wedding. So that was 2 years ago. That was 2021. I do remember that. Same thing. And I have to say that handsome gentleman who's officiating the wedding, Jesse Barnett, career Navy SEAL, great friend of ours, went through our program, got his bachelor's degrees, and has started a very successful company.
Well, let's talk more about leadership. Kevin, I think anybody who served this country is a born leader. They've been put in positions that the average civilian could never even imagine. How does your firm work to help these veterans transition?
Yeah, so one of the things that we do, one of the main things that we do, is we try to give them the skills to take all those leadership capabilities that they have and now take them from the military setting to the corporate setting. And so what I'll do, I'll come in and teach them a lot of personal and corporate finance. So when they go into these roles as leaders of these companies, as Dan will allude to, some of these folks have come in as CEOs of pretty reasonable sized companies. They need those business skills that the military didn't necessarily give them. They gave them all the leadership, all the training for that. But now it's like, okay, let's tweak this a little bit to the civilian sector and give you those necessary business skills to run successful companies.
Sure. And you guys are partnering with some major schools. We're going to scroll down this page of the website because I was just blown away when I saw some of these logos. Talk about your partners, Daniel.
Yes, yeah, we're very fortunate. We've partnered with some world-class institutions such as Southern Methodist University here in Dallas. Amazing. We're very fortunate. Specifically, their director of the VA at Southern Methodist University is a gentleman named Robert Hurst, who's probably the top VA official at any university in the country. We also are fortunate to partner with the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University, another top 20 business school in the United States, and then Indiana Wesleyan University, and more schools to come. But we're really fortunate in the quality of the academic institutions, and it just further enriches the education.
Sure.
And the relationships that the schools have introduced to us have just been nothing less than world class. And we, in turn, as Kevin said, we hand those relationships to our candidates.
Sure. Kevin, coming back to you, I think about military leadership, and it's pretty much because I said so. But the civilian world doesn't work that way. So you're helping teach some collaborative skills?
Yeah, a lot of collaborative skills. I mean, a lot of these folks already have that, right? Because they're operating in teams their entire military career. And so one of the things that we love to do at Catalyst is the consulting project. So we give them certain business skills, but then Dan is setting up with certain companies to say, hey, let us come in, let us do a consulting project for you to not only learn those skills for consulting itself and apply the finance and marketing and whatnot, but then working as a team in that civilian space, collaborate on a project, take those skills that you learned and see if you can apply them to a company or a particular issue they're having.
And Dan, you have a very popular podcast. We're going to go on your YouTube page and just kind of scroll down. How do you choose your guests?
So most of our guests are actually alumni of our program. So we have we're fortunate in that we have a very diverse pool that we have matriculated into our program. And we have a lot of folks who are at what's called the Tier 1 level. These are the most capable warfighters in history. And they have some great stories. And this is part of what we do is it's a holistic way for them to share their story, but they now know how to brand themselves in a way that they want to define. And it's a way for them to relate to others who may be finding themselves in the exact same vein that these people previously did, and just better connect.
Sticking with you, Dan, what's your favorite success story?
Ooh, all of them, but truly, they're all. The best part of my day every day is when I randomly get a text message or email or phone call, and Kevin's heard these before, where we'll have someone who will reach out to us and say, hey, I just got this promotion. I'm going to be making $250,000 this year. that's more money than I thought I would make ever, or I just bought my dream home, or XYZ. That would have never happened without the catalyst. Thank you. P.S. If you tell anybody I told you I'm crying, I'm going to take you out. So
Wow.
I get those randomly. But one cool story. Very first cohort we ever ran, we had a small cohort of about 10 candidates, and we were looking for that last ideal fit. And I just randomly happened to run into a young man who lived in my area, and he had just lost his job. He didn't have his bachelor's degree yet, and he was moving in with his girlfriend's parents' house, and he wanted to apply to the program. And I'm thinking, I don't know if you're really ready for what we're going to put you through. Well, unbeknownst to me, what I didn't realize was that young man was completing a 4-year bachelor's degree inside 2.5 years at the Crilley School of Business, while he was also working 60-hour work weeks. And so we took a chance on him, and fast forward, he was able to get a huge pay increase and a great career through the program. And today, 16.5 years later, is now the senior director for the world's largest medical device company for the Midwest. So pretty happy about that one.
Yeah, that has to be making you proud. Kevin, if somebody's watching this, how do they know if they're a candidate?
So if they're a candidate, they're basically served in the military or currently serving in the military and looking to transition out. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually it's about an 18-month process where that's the transition process. And
no, that's actually not. It depends on what unit they're coming from. So some people do get a 2-year to 18-month to 2-year window. Other people only have a day. And so it really does depend on what type of unit they're coming out of. But Kevin was correct when he said we do accept currently serving military members. Some commands are actually sending their folks to us just to upskill the working business acumen. We have folks that are transitioning out, and then we have folks that have been out for years that just haven't done so successfully. But we also have spouses, which is a denigrated talent base in and of itself. So we don't discriminate. We just look for 3 things in every candidate. They have to be competent, they have to be character driven, and they have to be determined. They have to be determined not to rest on their laurels, and that they have to continue to build from where they've started.
All right, Kevin, final thoughts. What would you like to leave people with?
So I love being a part of the Catalyst. It's something that they're changing people's lives. And I would just say to any folks looking to get into or to transition out of the military, give them a look. They can set you up for success. We're doing everything that we can to help America's best. Leave the military, leave it successfully, and then become successful civilians and business leaders going forward. I absolutely love the program.
All right, Dan, we'll give you the final word.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here today, or thank you for allowing us to be here today. This is really cool. But I just want to say to any currently serving military member, veteran, I don't care if you got out 2 weeks ago, if you got out 20 years ago, and spouse, if you know that you're capable of more, you absolutely are. We would love the opportunity to just meet with you. And even if our program's not the right program for you, just know that we would be honored to meet with you and help point you in the right direction. But at the end of the day, that 22 suicides a day is now at 44 suicides a day. And I've unfortunately buried far too many of those folks, good friends of mine. You matter. You absolutely matter. And you are the change that our small world needs to be today, because you are a leader. And we would love the opportunity to help you remember that. So
Wow.
Thank you for that platform.
Yeah, man, what a great program. We're going to end with the website, which is thecatalystprogram.org. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.